this is Steamedworld Presents Movie Review News. I'm your host, Jack, and today we'll be talking about the Terminator Dark Fate. Before we proceed any further, I would like to remind everyone that this is not a spoiler-free review. I repeat, it is not a spoiler-free review, so if you haven't actually seen the movie, I strongly suggest you stop right now. Before we proceed, I have to say, you have been warned. Okay, here we go. Overall, this movie had such potential, so much potential to be great, but it screwed up within the first 10 minutes, which sort of affected the whole movie. I will elaborate. It started out great. There was, I believe, Mackenzie Davis' character, Grace, narrating about events taking place in the future. If not her, then it must be Sarah Connor. I wasn't quite sure about that. Basically, you had the Terminators mopping up survivors, which made for great post-apocalyptic world madness. And then to the scene, which ruined the entire movie for me. I must say first, I was ecstatic to hear during Comic-Con that Edward Fowler was actually reprising his T2 role as John Connor. And the moment James Cameron actually made that announcement, I knew that this probably would be the last iteration in this series. And I expected him to be ganked, and ganked he did. But unfortunately, the means and the ways and the way it was done was really, really disrespectful to us fans of the Terminator series. I believe this was the worst way to end such a character most of us have grown up with for decades. And to make things worse, it was actually done within the first 10 minutes of the movie. And it was a digital recreation of Edward Fowler just a couple of months, I guess, after the end of Terminator 2. He was gunned down and killed in a bar by a T-800 in Guatemala, while Sarah Connor was practically useless in the scene, which was ridiculous. I couldn't believe they killed him that way and undermined how badass Sarah Connor was. That was absolutely ridiculous. I wouldn't lie, I have always expected him to die ever since I read the original ending of Terminator Salvation before the rewrite where he sacrificed himself, so I was like, you know what? I'm not surprised. I'm expecting that to happen. That will be great, actually. And then we had this. Initially, I remember thinking while watching T5, that's the Genesis movie, that it was one of the worst ways imagined to kill John Connor, and that it will take a miracle for anyone to screw up that character's death, and then Dark Fate happened. Yes, I'm quite aware that Terminator 3 and onwards were retconned, but still, we invested so much energy, so much brain power, so much hope in this character for them to end it the way that they did just a couple of months after the end of T2. That made absolutely no sense. I guess, actually expected an older version of John Connor to get killed. Not the way it happened over there, but anyway, what can I say? I should have known the moment Tim Miller was actually announced as the director. I should say, I can certainly understand the reason why. I'm speculating over here, so don't quote me on this. I kind of understand the reason why Tim was fired or wasn't allowed to proceed with Deadpool 2, because seriously, if this is the best they can do with a character so versatile, there is the option of time travel, hello, then it's no surprise. I know he's not a writer, but he's the director. He should have read it no, this is a really, really shitty end for this character. Oh my god. I'm sorry. I'm being a tad bit emotional about it. I was like, what the hell were they thinking? Which led me to this. Doesn't the storyline create a crazy time continuum paradox conundrum? It's like, okay, John Connor is dead, so John Connor isn't available to send Kyle Reese back in time to save his mom and impregnate her. Do you see where I'm going with this? That's like, it just became one giant mess. And I wasn't quite sure exactly where they were going to go with this. But you just wait and see. I was like, well, this is interesting. Skynet actually won the war. John Connor is dead. But wait, that wasn't exactly what happened. And I'll let you know, because apparently in T2, the destruction of Skynet was actually total, which made no sense to me. And you know what? I was like, fuck, you know, it's just weird. That's all I have to say. So apparently, the loophole, or the explanation they actually gave to explain how the T-800 managed to kill John Connor would be that Skynet actually sent multiple T-800s to the past to get at John Connor, and obviously one of them succeeded, and so his program was terminated, and he had no recourse and no objective, and that was it. Dead junk. And now apparently, I mean, it just ended that way, and apparently, rather than we have in Skynet, we now have a new artificial intelligence called Legion. So in comes Mackenzie Grace. No, I keep calling her Mackenzie Grace. And so in come Kenzie David's character called Grace. She is an enhanced human sent back in time to protect someone. Basically, she's an enhanced Kyle Reese sent back to protect and upgraded Sarah Connor, so to speak. I'll explain why I said that. But first, I surprisingly liked the character. I thought Mackenzie is actually a fantastic actor. She held her own against Linda Hamilton. Unfortunately, I felt that the actress playing the composite of Sarah Connor and John Connor was a bit weak. I didn't feel like I didn't feel she was someone who was actually destined to lead humanity against this new breed of AI. Of course, obviously, or I should say Legion. Obviously, Legion is another cybernetic AI that went off the rails and killed everyone, or tried to kill everyone. And apparently, also, Skynet no longer exists in that future. So that's about it. But like I was saying, Mackenzie and Hamilton were fantastic in the series. The new savior, Natalie Reyes, if I'm not mistaken, was the weakest link in the entire movie, in my humble opinion. I mean, watching the first Terminator movie, you knew Sarah Connor was out of her elements. She was naive and out of her depth, but you could sort of feel that hidden power and determination in her. The person that she could become in the future, the savior of humanity. This next bit might be a bit controversial, but you know what? Tough. Everyone keeps talking about John Connor as the focal point of the Terminator multiverse. I disagree. I believe that Sarah Connor is actually the focus of the whole Terminator franchise, and John Connor is just a byproduct, sort of like a MacGuffin, you know? The plot tool to move the story along and raise the stakes. I mean, without Sarah Connor, there will be no John Connor. Sarah Connor in the Terminator multiverse is actually the true humanity savior. She made John Connor, which is why I was a tad bit pissed when she was sort of relegated as just the womb. Like, that's actually a bad thing for humanity's savior. That dialogue sort of undermined the character, which I think was very, very, very disrespectful to the character. Like I said, she is more. Yes, there's nothing wrong with being a womb. Well, the way it was put was just wrong. Yeah, like as I was saying, I'm sorry. Like I said, she is more. She, in my opinion, is actually more important to humanity than John Connor ever was or ever will be, which is why John Reese was sent back in the first place. And in this case, well, I guess it was sort of true because you have to watch it again to see why. Finally, I believe each subsequent Terminator movie is in the not retcon universe didn't focus on her, which is why they bombed. And with Dark Fate, Natalie Reyes' portrayal of Danny Ramos, the new humanity's savior, was overshadowed by both Mackenzie and Hamilton whenever they shared screen time, making the stakes weren't there as in the first two movies. Also, as a side note, Arnold Schwarzenegger was actually pretty good as the repurposed T-800. He had some absolutely amazing lines, and his comedic timing were absolutely fantastic. With that said, I do have to say one thing though. I I wasn't actually planning on dropping this review. I thought it was, you know what, it is what it is, but I really got pissed. I saw a lot of reviews out there, and people were blaming the woke culture as the reason to why the movie bombed at the box office. I disagree. The woke culture had nothing to do with it. It was the execution of the movie. It was executed poorly. The movie as a whole, especially if you took out the whole John Connor part, actually felt like a blend of T1 and T2. It was felt more of a sci-fi action horror movie, which in my opinion worked well. It was great. It was like the action sequence was great. The stakes were high. I mean, the new Terminator was a little bit more of a punching bag than anything else, which was also a little bit annoying. But ultimately, it was a great movie in the sense that the it was executed well for what it is, but the incidents with John Connor kind of overshadowed the entire movie and ruined it because it was done. His death was done poorly, and certain aspects of the movie dialogue was like seriously, and the storylines were a bit weird. It wasn't really well done. As a direct result, it sort of diminished the movie. But most importantly, John Connor shouldn't have been killed the way he was. That was a really, really big move. Anyway, this is your boy Jack from Steamedworld Presents, and this is my Terminator review. I hope you like it. If you don't, well, tough. Take care of yourself, and we'll see each other on the flip side. Oh, yes! One thing, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification button to know when I drop a new video. And don't forget to leave comments down below. Help me grow this channel, and you'll see more of my awesome self dropping awesome nuggets of knowledge once in a blue moon. And we're good. Oh no! Alright, this is your boy Jack. Take care of yourself, and we'll see each other on the flip side.